When I was younger, I was quite the aspiring entrepreneur. Me and my friends would always come up with things we could sell to our neighbors to make some money. For example, there was this one time where we sat down for a few hours and made a ton of origami. I'm talking cranes, paper planes, fortune tellers, boats, you name it. We stuffed it in a cheap plastic bag and started walking around every single house in our neighborhood. Some people were pretty nice and bought some, while some of them, well, hello, would you like to buy some origami? Here's $5, never come back here again. But I didn't let that stop me. Another thing that I used to really love doing was making comic books, so I spent a lot of time working on one. It was called Puppies, and it was about two kids, me and my friend, who could transform into superpowered dogs, and they used their powers to help people while evading their rivals, which were two random boys I decided to randomly not like in elementary school. I drew and colored every panel with my little drawing tablet, and then I used a metric boatload of ink and paper, printing out a ton of copies. Then I went around trying to sell it. It actually went pretty well, and I was encouraged to continue coming up with other things I could sell. So for my next idea, I decided to draw some animals in my cartoony style, print them out on some t-shirts, and go around selling them. The problem was, the t-shirts were only in one size, so they didn't sell all that well. I still have an old box of 2 small t-shirts laying around to remind me of it. There was also this random brilliant, subtle foreshadowing idea that I had at 9 p.m. to make a lemonade stand. I got more and more excited as I planned everything out in my head. How I'd buy the lemons, make change, and practically roll in the amount of money we would make. I told this idea to my parents, and they seemed pretty on board with it, despite the fact that it was pretty spontaneous. My parents helped me pick a location, which ended up being the pool because tomorrow was a holiday and it was supposed to be really hot, so there would probably be a lot of people at the pool, which equaled more potential customers. We also made a trip to Walmart where we bought some plastic cups, a glass pitcher for the lemonade, and the lemonade mix. The entire time I was thinking, this could actually work really well. We woke up early the next day and mixed up the lemonade. However, it turned out looking like highlighter fluid and somehow tasted even worse, and we knew there was no way we were going to serve this to people. So we went back to the store to grab a different brand of lemonade mix. Then we went to the bank to get change. When we got back, we mixed up the new lemonade mix, which was a lot better, scribbled together a sign, and finally set up our stand at the pool. I also called 2 of my friends to come help me. I was so excited. Despite the little setback, I had a feeling that this would go great. We sat there, waited some more, and waited even more. It was indeed very hot, and a lot of people started coming to the pool as expected. However, we didn't really get any customers. There were a couple people that bought a few cups out of pity, but other than that, nothing. My friends started complaining about the heat after a few hours, but I insisted that I would stay. I hung on to that tiny bit of hope I had, that business would turn around soon enough, but it never happened. We sat there for a grueling 7 hours, and by the end of the day, we were absolutely drained and defeated. I trudged home ashamed and counted the money we had made, which ended up being a measly $14. These experiences I had as a kid, both good and bad, have honestly taught me a lot about rejection and business, though I didn't realize it then. I'm glad I took all those risks. The end. Thanks for watching.